All right. Hello, everyone. Dominic Robbie here with WCC, and it is a distinct honor and privilege to interview James Woe with Digital Finance Group and Ethereum Classic Labs. Hello, James. You're calling in from China today. Is that right?
Yeah, hello everyone.
Hey, James. So founder and CEO of Digital Finance Group and the chairman and founder and chairman of Ethereum Classic Labs. That's a mouthful. That's a lot. Sounds like your plate is really, really full. So tell me a little bit more about Digital Finance Group and Ethereum Classic Labs, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Data Finance Group is kind of like a diversified blockchain crypto business, both with investment and also operation business. Basically, we are doing three things here. The first is like we do investment. Overall, we're managing $550 million on both secondary market and primary market. We're managing $300 million on the secondary market, basically buying and holding different kind of mainstream cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Ethereum Classic. And then for the permanent market, what we are doing is like start from 3 years ago, we invest into different kind of in different countries, especially the US. We invest into the crypto and blockchain startups. Basically, we are managing a little bit about like $200 million on the private market. So overall, we invest into kind of like a 20 kind of project, including all the protocols and the different kind of companies. But we hold the AUM roughly like about like $500 million. That's the first business.
Okay.
The second one is more like a ETC side. We do both like we have a core team, 16 house developer managing the protocol of Ethereum Classic, incubator which successfully due to coherent. Invest into more than 20 projects which build on top of Ethereum Classic. So it's kind of somehow like a mini version of Ethereum Foundation plus consensus. So
Got it.
basically, we are kind of pretty heavy into ETC. So that's the second thing we are doing. The third thing we are doing is more like from the regulatory part and regulations. We have just got in principle approval this July from the ADGM in Abu Dhabi, which they issued an IPA to us to operate in a cryptocurrency spot exchange. So we aim to launch the platforms like probably like Q1 next year. So it's kind of like all for a fiat channel, especially for like people can deposit US dollar to a platform and buy in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency.
Now,
So it's not a
oh, I'm sorry. What is an IPA? You mentioned an IPA in Abu Dhabi. What is an IPA? Is that like an IPO, or is it just what is an IPA?
It is kind of like in principle approval. So the procedure is like you got an IPA first, then you match all the condition of the IPA, then you got a final approval to launch the platform. So
Got
this
it.
is the procedure in ADGM.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean the meaning for this is probably in Western countries it's pretty easy for you to trade on Bitstamp, trade on Coinbase to buy cryptocurrency, deposit fiat. But in Asia, you just cannot find a platform which connect with the fiat channel. So this is pretty unique. We have the Asia clients got a lot of access to the cryptocurrency, and which is super important. And also, we are trying to, get a bunch of license in US and other countries as well. So we apply the license in South Dakota at the same one as we go for the custody license. And
Okay.
also, we try to get a license also in Bermuda for both like a custody and exchange. So our strategy is kind of like trying to be regulated, especially when you do the kind of like a exchange or trading related activities. So we think in the past a lot of like business grow so fast without permission from the government. But right now, since the policy in US in the country become much clearer, I think in the future the regulated business will dominate the market. So in the future, we think this is the right direction for us to go. So this is the third part of our business.
Yeah, you mentioned actually at your keynote during WCC and Vegas Blockchain Week just a month ago is that you really believe that a lot of the coins outside the top 20 are just going to go away that are not regulated, right? So in this, regulated environment, you see that anything that's really regulated has a chance to stand on its own two legs going forward. Do you still believe that?
Yeah, I mean, for the regulated business, probably like more focus on the decentralized, centralized business, right? If you are running like a decentralized network, you don't need the permission from the government. So that's like a different logic. So when you do kind of like a centralized service like a custody, like a exchange, like a whatever borrowing and lending business, that's more like a you provide a financial service to the cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency is the the asset or kind of like a fiat. If you provide financial service, for sure you need a license for doing that to be regulated, right? So I think the two logic didn't contradict to each other. What I'm saying is like on a speech is like for the decentralized network, for the public blockchain, if you're building it, if you cannot enter into top 20 or top 10, you are going to fail in the future. So it's kind of like a little bit different logic. So we can have a lot of centralized service which provide product to the client, but for the decentralized, for the basic layer technology, we don't need too much about it.
Got it, got it. And you also mentioned too in your keynote that you invest into more Series A and Series B stages. Can you share why you prefer to invest in those rounds, or is that more of just a function of the maturity of the blockchain ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, I think both external like internal reasons. For internal, it's pretty clear because we are managing like a $500 million relatively big to the early stage fund, so we don't have enough time and kind of resources to evaluate every project. So we just didn't build like a full system to do incubator ways, right? So we care about more later stage companies which can give us like a relatively not very high return, but relatively like a return which is somehow like which is fine. That's okay for our business because we relatively managing like a great capital and big capital. This is internal reason. For external reason, we think it's not like a kind of like a 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. It's all about like a very early stage. You got an idea, you don't have a great use case, you don't have it's kind of like blockchain become kind of matures compared to like 4 or 5 years ago. So you will see a lot of great use cases. You will see a lot of business model has been verified. So it's the time for you to care about not only the early stage company, but also the later stage company. This kind of like we can see that Silvergate just listed on like a New York Stock Exchange. We can see a mining company, Polkadot, also listed that. So we will see more and more companies being listed on the exchange from the stock side. We will see more like a promising public blockchain will emerge in the future. So eventually we are entering into next stage. So we are not just not just early stage company we can care about. We can also care about later stage company. So that's the main difference for the external reasons. We have for the industry become mature, so we have a chance to invest into those mature business.
Got it. And also too, some of the companies that I mentioned or that you've mentioned before in the past that you guys invested in, like Brave browser, which frankly I'm actually using right now. I'm a daily active user. I love that thing.
Great.
Yeah, Ripio, you're invested in Block as well. So what kind of criteria do you look for at DFG to deploy capital? And do you have a specific set criteria, or is it something you just see as providing an incredible, business solution and you're interested in it? So what maybe kind of take me through your thinking there?
Sure, I think there are a lot of things in common. You need to have great teams, have like a long ambitions. That's for sure. But I want to say a little bit about like the different things. We care about different, kind of directions. For public blockchain, it's more like a technical. So what makes sense is like you find kind of like a kind of like a important, kind of like a point in this, Bitcoin and Ether is so big. So you have to find a point that Bitcoin or Ether they fail to accomplish, right? Then you target that point and then you build a blockchain which solve the problem. Only in that way that makes sense, right? So for the blockchain, have strong teams, ambitions, become really ambitious and really care about this kind of problem, then we think this is probably a good solution. If you just saying that I want to do something which be Bitcoin Ether in the future, but without solving a specific problem of Bitcoin Ether, I don't think you can do it. So that's the most important criteria in the public blockchain. And for other business like more like a centralized business, like the trading facility, it's all about like how much market share it's more like a traditional way, how much market share you get, how much revenue you get, or kind of like how big is your market, how can you expand to other regions, can you build like a more product, let's say you build a spot exchange, can you build like a future exchange, can you build OTC market. So it's more like about traditional way, about a way for you to scale your business, either kind of like in different region or through different product. So it's more like for centralized business, it's more like a traditional ways for us to look at it. So overall, it's like a different logic for us to view the decentralized space and centralized space.
Got it. So you mentioned the protocol level. So you mentioned Bitcoin and Ether, and obviously you guys have devoted a lot of capital and resources to Ethereum Classic. What attracted you to Ethereum Classic? What was Ethereum not doing that Ethereum Classic is? Maybe that's a better way to phrase the question.
Yeah, for sure. I think in the future, Ethereum is definitely going to proof of stake, right? They have pretty solid technology which support this. They ambition about this will be successful in the future, and I believe they will. And for ETC, what we are doing right now is like you have a lot of use cases which can build up top of proof of stake like blockchain, but there are some kind of use cases which suitable for build on top of POW version of blockchain. And there are some of projects they are willing to build on top of POW version of blockchain, which have multiple reasons, like they are safe, whatever, they have a lot of reasons. But what we are doing here is like when Ethereum go to proof of stake, ETC will make sure we will stick to POW and cooperate closely with Ethereum to build a POW version of Ethereum. So it is something missing here. If you want a POW version of blockchain and you want smart contract, what are you going to do? Right now, I think that the good choice is to build on top of ETC. So there's a kind of like a gap between Bitcoin and Ether, which we can fill the gap, which is important to all the projects who willing to do that.
Now, as far as development right now, I mean, Ethereum consumes, and I don't know what the number is, so I'm just throwing an arbitrary number out there, but it's an extreme, consolidation of the entire, blockchain ecosystem, development ecosystem. They attract a lot of the developer talent. So are you having any issues attracting developer talent to help build out the Ethereum Classic, community?
Yes and no. I mean, for sure, always like the blockchain industry is overall it's very early stage. You don't have a lot of choice. It's like unlike the internet industry, you can recruit people everywhere. And right now, it's also a decentralized community. You need to share the same version, and people will contribute to this blockchain. And it's very hard. I think overall for the industry, it's very hard to find great people and a great developer who are willing to work on this. And for another part, we share a lot of resources and also a lot of talented people with this. And for example, we closely work closely with each other. Ethereum Foundation and ETC Lab co-found some projects together, and we do a lot of things together. So overall, some of the Ethereum developers are willing to work on ETC, and some of the ETC developers also contribute to Ethereum blockchain. So overall, because they are comparable with each other, so a lot of interaction, communication, cooperation between two kind of ecosystems. So it's pretty positive for moving overall ETC blockchain to the next step.
Got it. So, I think that the belief out there is that Ethereum Classic forking from Ethereum is more of a competitive arrangement rather than a cooperative one. But what you're saying is it's very much more cooperative than it is competitive. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. So overall, basically, the previous logic is that you got the DAO. Some people believe like code a law, then you choose to see some people in Ethereum ecosystem better. You're gonna choose Ethereum. And so basically, they diverge, right? They have share different version. But right now, since it's not like the basic logic change. Ethereum go to proof of stake, we go to proof of W. We try to be cooperated and collaborate with each other. So there's no kind of need for these two big ecosystems to compete with each other. And if you try to compete with each other, nobody wins. So it's actually a good thing for both of the parties. So it's we and a lot of people in the Ethereum community share the same version with us. So we are pretty happy to see kind of like cooperation between two blockchains.
Well, I completely agree with you because at our developer conference this year, the number one thesis was reducing tribalism and increasing more interoperability and throughout the entire ecosystem. So I completely agree with you in that, James. So let me shift into what you guys are doing currently. So as far as what investment opportunities are you seeking right now? Are you seeking more on the protocol layer? Are you seeking on the DApp level? Like where do you kind of see yourself going forward? Not where you've been up until this point, but going forward, what attracts you the most?
Since due to things, because we are already, building the regular business by ourselves. So from the investment, we are probably not going to touch that side so heavily. So what we are going to invest into two things, one is protocols. Although we are, building ETC, but for sure we lot of like a POS version of blockchain have a lot of promising future. For example, we will invest into Polkadot, which is, also very promising. So we will continue taking a look at this kind of opportunity for us to, in the future. They could be very big in the future.
And the
And
name
then for
of that
other things,
token, I'm sorry, the name token what now? What was the name?
Polkadot.
Okay. Oh, Polkadot. Okay, got it. All right.
Polkadot, yeah.
Yep.
So it's kind of like also other projects like Polkadot. We are also take a look at this. When you have a strong team, you have especially we're on later stage, you're mature, you've got a strong team. So we are willing to allocate capital into it because we think this is very promising in the future. And another thing, what we are pretty excited is about like different decentralized use cases. What we are seeing in this industry, for example, like the DeFi industry, especially for like a borrowing and lending business, like a project like a Compound and MakerDAO, which is pretty promising. We think, this could be the next ICOs, and this could be the great use cases on top of the decentralized network when you have a centralized, borrower lending business, kind of like you put a bank on a centralized network. It could be very big in the future, right? So it's kind of like make us very exciting about it. So kind of like a great use cases in the DeFi industry, which which make a lot of sense, provide financial service to those kind of people. We will take a look, and then we select the great one to invest also in the future.
Great. That's fantastic. So let me ask you about this. Does your investment thesis change during a bear market like we're in right now? Or do you even consider market cycles when determining where and when to deploy capital?
I would say definitely. I think nobody didn't change their investment thesis in such a kind of bear market. First of all, you're gonna reduce the investment amount, right? So kind of kind of overall it's a bear market. You're gonna you're gonna care about more about liquidity. You can put more capital on the secondary market. So basically, we are similar as other ones what we are doing right now. It's kind of like we become more careful. But once we select the project, we were going to invest, and without a doubt. But overall, our strategy shift a little bit. We try to seeking for some access in our portfolio company, which the active what we are holding right now. Just try to get more liquidity to make sure we can operate the business very well, as well as try to allocate more capital on the secondary market to make sure we have enough liquidity. So overall, overall the investment strategy and seems change a little bit in the bear market, because you have to be like influenced by such kind of like a bear market outside environment, I guess.
So what is it that you look for as far as, do you have any unique insight to share on how to determine when a market shifts from a bull to bear and vice versa? Is there anything that you're looking at specifically that tells you, okay, we need to change our strategy right now, or we need to delay, or right now we need to act? Is there anything that you're looking for that says, okay, we're in a bull market, or okay, we're in a bear market?
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's kind of very hard to define what is a bull market, what is bear market. It's like an overall trend. You just everyone have a different definition about a bear and bull market. But what we are thinking right now, for now, I guess, we overall, like in the past 2 years, the price keep decrease. And we think it's probably my prediction later next year could be the start of the bull market. We try to, when, the price, I guess, not only Bitcoin price, but overall altcoins, including Ethereum price, when you bounce back a little bit, maybe like twice, or like a third times, then it's probably the start of the bull market. So in such a bear market, everyone is hedging the risk. Basically, everyone's buying Bitcoin or holding the cash. So it's kind of a symbol of kind of bear market. Everyone is avoid the risk. But if you got altcoins, especially Ethereum or others, not necessarily to be the small coin, but like the middle, maybe the coins beside Bitcoin, maybe top 20 start to the price still goes up a lot. I think that will be a symbol of the start of about the bull market.
So you think that'll start happening next year in 2020?
My prediction will be Q3 or Q4 next year.
Oh, I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit there. Did you say 2-3 years or?
No, I'm saying Q3 or Q4 next year.
Oh, Q3 or Q4. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So is that because, do you think it has to do with the halving? Obviously, there's so much talk about the halving. And so, if we see Bitcoin behave, like it's behaved in the last two halvings, we'll see a parabolic move up. Are you basing a lot of that based off the halving, or is it based off other considerations?
It's actually not really that related to the halving. I mean, from my understanding, halving is definitely helped the market turn into a bear market to the bull market. But this is not the ultimate reasons, because for sure it's helping, because basically the miners money actually half of the number of bitcoins like than before. So there will be a less bitcoin which sold on the second market, which cash out and pay the electricity fees. That's the logic. So that is really helpful. But overall, I think the most important reason for market to turn to the bear market to the bull market is two things. Either of it happen, we will turn the bear market to the bull market. Once when we see the policy become mature, new capital entering the market. And right now what we are seeing here is US, we got very clear definition about the coins. We got a lot of license issue, basically cover all the trading area. So the policy start to become very, very mature, right? So, but it is not like the policy came out, you got a new capital enter the market by Bitcoin right away. But when the time goes, you will see more and more capital because of that influence of the policy. We're moving to the market and start to buying cryptocurrency. So that is the logic for the market turn from bear market to the bull market. And I would say maybe still it will be half year, kind of we still need half year to recover, and then we will have the bull market. That is one logic. The second logic, when the technology is this mature, then you have great use cases built on top of it. I think I think for Bitcoin technology is always mature, but for Ethereum you at least have half of year or 1 year for them to finish the POS process. But not only Ethereum, for others, also they need time to become mature. When that is happening, you can see, of course, some of the use cases don't need scalability, but some of the use cases do need scalability, right? So when that happens, infrastructure becomes solid, then you will see great use cases built on top of it. If you can create next kind of great use case like an ICO, it will have kind of a huge impact on the second market. Basically, you can turn coins into $10 to $100. Yeah. So that is the second logic for me, that the market will turn from a bear market to a bull market. Maybe the second logic take a little bit longer than the first logic, but overall it's more like the influence could be bigger and huge for the second logic.
So do you see Oh, sorry. So do you see altcoins behaving similarly to in the next bull run as they did in the previous bull run? I know there's some people that believe that, Bitcoin dominance being as high as it is right now, that, just by Bitcoin. So, but there's other people that believe that, we might actually see another alt run cycle like we have in the past. Where do you sit on that fence?
I think they will for sure. I think the Bitcoin overall dominance will go down. If you take a look at other market, for the e-commerce market in China, Alibaba dominates 50% of the market share. If you take a look at other industry, I don't think right now when you speak of the real volume for the for kind of a cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin dominates probably 90% of the market, right? About the trading volume. But I don't think this is very reasonable, because you have such a bear market, everyone needs to hedge the risk. So people are buying Bitcoins too much, I guess. In such kind of industry, the number one, and if there's some number one player maybe dominant market 50%, 60%, that's maybe the reasonable logic. But 90 is definitely too much. I don't think there won't be any other cryptocurrency Bitcoin only. That's crazy. I mean, in every market you just have not only number one, you have number two and number three. So that is the basic logic. I think it will be an aircoin market, but I didn't think the aircoin market it will be the same as 2 or 3 years ago. I think in 2 years ago, 3 years ago, a lot of cryptocurrencies, they are purely taking the marketing strategy, not developing the technology at all. So I think in the next bull market, the things will change. I'm not saying you are not going to do marketing, but at least the cryptocurrency which will be successful, you at least will do half marketing and half technology. Yeah. At least half technology. So only marketing, the coin which you only do marketing will fail, and you cannot see a great, kind of return when you're betting on those kind of coins. So
There,
that large, in that logic, it would be slightly different than 2 years ago, I guess.
there will be a flight to more quality, right? So there'll actually be technology behind those projects that are actually seeking capital and taking on an enormous run. So it won't be just a white paper and a slick marketing plan. So I think that's encouraging for all of us going forward. So, with James, with we're going to be tying up here. I wanted to ask you a couple more questions here, but with Bitcoin's birth at the heels of the last global financial crisis, we have yet to experience a real data point of Bitcoin's behavior in an economic crisis. So it seems to be a common theme in our industry that Bitcoin, a lot of people view it as, maybe an asymmetric risk reward asset. Do you hold that view?
I don't think so. I think I think compared to cold capitalization, Bitcoin like a $200 billion or something. If you take a stock market, it's like trillions of dollars, like
yes.
10, even like 20 trillion or whatever, right? You take derivative like whatever, like 200 trillion or whatever. It's like way bigger than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin compared to all like a traditional finance assets, kind of like a nobody. It's like a point, like a 0.01% of the global asset or whatever. It's kind of like so small that you don't have such great impact. You just cannot make such kind of correlation like between these two things. I don't think that exists. I think eventually the reason is because economy is so bad and people don't have confidence. People try to find some reason to blame that. They choose Bitcoin. So that is only correlation here, I guess. I don't think Bitcoin will influence the overall global economy. At least we are not there yet. So when we have like a Bitcoin price at $1 million per Bitcoin, we can talk about it.
Got it. Okay, so what you're saying is that if we were to see another global financial crisis like 2008, 2009, that we're not going to see Bitcoin behave completely contradictory to that market, right? We're going to see, Bitcoin's going to suffer just like everything else suffers. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, probably the opposite logic is wrong. Right. I'm saying Bitcoin for sure is an asset which you can hedge your risk. When you have financial crisis, the price of gold will go up. I mean, the price of Bitcoin for sure will go up. That's a logic, but you won't see kind of like the opposite way. If you have the Bitcoin price goes down a lot or goes up a lot, that means the financial crisis. But I mean, when you have the financial crisis, you have to hedge your risk. I think in this logic is probably the right logic.
Okay, got it. Understood. Well, so let me ask you this. So, kind of going into the end of the conversation here, but cast out for me what your vision is, what you think the ecosystem looks like 10 years, 15 years from now, and to real life everyday scenarios. Like, are we seeing blockchain kind of like we see technology deployed today, where we don't necessarily know what the technology is behind the applications that we're using, but is blockchain living behind those? Like, is blockchain disrupting all these different industries like we think it will do? What do you see happening in the next 10 to 15 years, and how has blockchain penetrated our everyday lives, if it has at all?
It's a good question. So 10 years is very long for me, I guess. But overall, I'm thinking, from the basic logic about blockchain, I don't think it's kind of like you are using a different technology. You just combine, kind of like finance logic with the technology you have right now. So it's not that disruptive. It's not unlike like artificial intelligence or other industry, which you create a whole new technology which could be very disruptive to the whole society right now. It's kind of like you are just building a distributed ledger, which provide, I guess, better service to the society right now. So I guess because eventually from the basic logic of technical progress, it's not that much for blockchain, right? The blockchain is using the current technology. Everything uses blockchain as the current technology for now, but artificial intelligence is using a whole new technology. So I think the basic fundamental logic of these kind of two things are totally different. So I think probably AI is disruptive, blockchain is not. So that's my overview.
Oh, got it. So you don't see blockchain as being disruptive. You see technologies like AI being the biggest disruptive force.
Yeah, I mean, blockchain is like a combine of like the kind of innovative things. You combine like the innovation of the finance, combine the innovation of technology together, then you create, oh, this is something really cool here. But it will just when you have something like this, it will just help you improve the finance industry and also the technology industry. So it will be something more like an improvement, not disruptive, I guess.
That's fascinating. Very interesting. I love that. So, James, let me ask you one final question, just as more of a personal question. But you're very successful, very young. So you've obviously achieved some significant things here in your life. So, what is the best advice you've ever been given?
Thank you. First, thank you. And I guess the best advice I have been given, right? Okay. Uh, I think it would be my father because my father is really doing traditional finance industry. He pointed out to me there are a lot of problem in the traditional finance industry and motivated me to really to move into this industry and create a great things either by doing investment or operation. And this is really the such kind of great advice. Basically before that I don't have enough knowledge expertise in the finance industry which I can say, oh, here's like a really lot of problem here. But our blockchain technology, when I take a blockchain, oh, this kind of technology could feel, could like solve the problem. But first, to make that happen, first I need to understand what is the problem, what are the problems are, right? This is a lot of things my father really gave me great advice at. So this is really being very very helpful.
So your dad was able to point you in the direction of an industry that needed some solutions, and you went to work on just on finding out what those solutions were, right? So it's that's very exciting. So
Yes.
well, fantastic, James. Thank you so much for your time today. We're going to wrap everything up here, running into time constraints, but really appreciate your time and looking forward to seeing you at the next WCC.
Likewise, thank you very much. Thanks for your time, and it's been nice to interview by you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, James.